Welcome to week 10. We have just been discussing the creating a learning culture, and we've had some really interesting discussions in all of the forums considering how well our workplaces embrace the notion of open sharing of information and really establish a culture that promotes that notion. And not many of us are finding that our cultures are so embracing and nurturing of that idea. I've noticed that some of us have expressed some frustration about that, and yet know that you are making a difference. We know that every system that sustains a change of any kind changes to accommodate the change in the system. You, in your modeling of sharing ideas with your colleagues in supervision, are making that difference. And whether it is an immediate change, and it's very unlikely for to be an immediate change, there is a change, whether we can see it or not. There is a change. So we need to be patient, and that's something that we will discuss in the value of slow knowing in this particular week, and in Fullen's last chapter. So let's take a look at the framework for this week, where Fullen talks to us about that notion of slow knowing and understanding complex situations. Our workplaces, any of the organizations with which we are members, are complex, typically. And I would hazard a guess that our workplaces very well are. Fullen suggests, and I'm going to quote, "Under conditions of complex nonlinear evolution, we need more slow knowing." He suggests that patience is required to understand a complex system. And it doesn't have to take a long time for those who are practiced in it and those who know how to use the 5 principles to lead within that context. So how might Fullen's statement be applied in our context? He's claiming that learning in context over time is essential. And why might that be? Understanding a context takes time, doesn't it? It takes time, it takes patience, it takes understanding the relationships involved. It takes time in understanding what the rights and rituals of the organization are, and what's accepted within that organization. So the whole idea of a culture has to be understood, and just having a top-down this is the way things are going to be now. I once worked for Lockheed Martin, and they had just come on board, and they sent to every employee's home a video entitled "The Lockheed Way," and they put on everyone's chair over the weekend a list of 5 values. It was a credit card size list, so small font, but it was a list of 10 values that we were to embrace and carry with us. Well, I'm here to tell you that the impact of that was not as positive as they had hoped. You just don't tell people that here are your 10 top values now. Whatever your values were, those are not the values that you should embrace in your professional workplace any longer. These are the 10 values which you now, as a Lockheed employee, should embrace. And here is the way we do business here. This is our new culture, and this is the way we do it. Well, okay, that is certainly one way. As you are, many of you, taking the HPI class and learning about cultures and learning about complex systems and how they might be influenced, know that it's a little more complicated than that, and that there are several different perspectives that need to be discussed and influenced and catalyzed and provoked in order for a desired change to come to fruition. So that's what we're really talking about. We're talking about the idea of slow knowing and the values, capability that values patience in understanding complex situations. So that is chapter 7 in Fullen's text in next week, and the next week being the week after spring break. Then we will move on to Cranton's last chapter, which is chapter 8, and then we'll be doing some of our own things as we look at the rest of our semester, which will be at that point winding down. So we'll be in week 12. Also, at the beginning of week 12, at the very beginning, March 27th, we will be handing in our Leading and Learning Perspectives paper. And note that there is, at the very beginning of week 12, which is now open to you, that the submittal portal is there for you. So go ahead and submit your paper once you have it done. You don't have to wait until March 27th. Any time between now and then is just great. We will, for our activity this time, be looking at mentoring and who we go to with a new idea. Given that we can speak openly, we've probably found a confidant, someone who we can share an idea that we've discovered with if we happen to live in a system that doesn't necessarily value sharing ideas openly. So identify the grassroots leaders and change agents that you know in your institution. If you wish, you can even make a social network and show those people who you interact with on a continual basis and who goes to whom. Just draw all of the individuals, kind of set them out on a map as to, if you live in a cubicle city, then indicate where those cubicles are and indicate who goes to whom with the new idea or with something that you've heard that is a change to the way you do things. Who do you go to first to either push back and say this isn't what we want to have happen, or to embrace the idea and say, can we do this more? Who do you go to? Who do others go to? Those people are typically your change agents. And who maybe is left out, that no one goes to that person. It's an interesting view of how the system you live in works. So take a look at it if you have time. Otherwise, let's just talk about the mentoring and the idea person and your change agent that you seek out. Also talk about the elements within the current culture, your current culture, that support these opportunities, these ideas. What elements will halt them? And there are some, aren't they? What could be done to remove the obstacles that tend to get in the way of the new idea rolling forward? If you think about it, you very likely know that. We also have a pedagogical activity that's already set up for us. And for this time, of course, our Leading Learning Perspectives paper. It does not in the instructions say how many references, but there should be references. And the references should be in APA 6th. The entire paper should be, and this is a 10-page paper, and we've discussed it before, so I won't go over it yet again, reflecting as you've got both this instruction and the rubric, and they're in your right-hand menu. All right, with that, let's just go back and take a look at the rest of the week. We've got Bill Gates' 10 rules for success. We've got 7 habits that make great opportunities happen. And we also have the activity we just looked at and an opportunity maker TED Talk, I believe it is, in our Metagogical Forum. With that, let's get started with the value of slow knowing in week 10. And I want to wish you a lot of fun in your spring break. This is when I'm going to London, so I may or may not be able to interact via email. I think I will be able to, and I'm planning on it. I'm definitely taking a means by which I can converse via email. So looking forward to it, and I'll hopefully share some pictures when I get back. Have a great spring break.